It's nearly 9 o'clock and Danny and I have come from Brasov on the bus to Bran, which means we've come to see that place up there, Bran Castle, also known as Dracula's Castle. We're just waiting for the ticket office to open as we're here at first opening to hopefully get in before it gets super busy. We've got our tickets and now we're rushing to the top, hoping to be some of the first people in. The character of Count Dracula, the vampire, is very loosely based on a man called Vlad the Impaler, who was an important leader in the Wallachia area of what now is Romania at the time. And although he never lived in this castle, he was born very nearby, and then in later years he was actually brought to prison inside this castle. It's known as Dracula's Castle. Actually, Bran Castle is very important for a very long time before and afterwards. And so lots of royal families and royal people lived here and stayed here at different times, which is why we're seeing things from different periods when we go around the castle. So this room was an antechamber to Queen Marie's, I think her name was Queen Marie's bedroom, which is on the opposite side. Vlad the Impaler was also known as Vlad Dracula, which is where the name comes from for Count Dracula. There's a couple of reasons for that. First of all, apparently he was in an order called the Order of Dragons, but the word for dragon is very similar to Dracula, Dracul, and it's also associated with the devil, and it helped that he was a super bloodthirsty guy. He was known for really horrible acts, not only on his enemies but also on his own people. Apparently he ruled a bit with an iron fist, so all of that put together gave him this really bloodthirsty story around him. Another reason why Bran Castle is really important, we didn't know this before we came actually, but I feel it's important to share, is that actually it won first place in Elevator World Project of the Year.
2019, baby.
It's done really, really well for itself, and we think we should celebrate that. We're done inside the castle now. It took us just over an hour and 20 minutes to get round. Now we're walking around the gardens and just having a look. What I really liked about the castle is the courtyard. It's really, really beautiful. It's nice to look down from the balcony and be inside the courtyard as well. And although it's not a very big castle, it's definitely worth a little visit, isn't it?
Yeah. That's why you're here, right?
Yeah. Like you said, it's, the story around it makes it very interesting as well. Yeah, it's really nice. After we finished in Bran, we hopped on a bus and we've got off in Rasnov, which is about 20 minutes down the road, back towards Brasov. We've come here because Rasnov also has a castle that we've come to see, and it's up there. Rasnov already looks a lot less touristy, doesn't it? Just the whole of Bran looked like it was...
One big restaurant.
Yeah, it was just restaurants and cafes and hotels, and that was it. The interesting thing about this part of Transylvania is that whereas near Cluj everything used to be Hungarian, and you see a lot of Hungarian influence, around this part where Brasov and Rasnov and Bran are, it all used to be German and Saxon. And so when you look at the buildings, often there's things still written in German at the top, like who owned it and what business was inside. Hey, this is our transport up to the Citadel.
The ticket is up and down. First
Thank
station
you.
is Dino.
Yeah.
Second stop, Castle.
Thank you.
Leave it.
This citadel was built in the mid-1200s, and straight away lots of people started moving in. Because it's built between the mountains and in a valley where there were lots of trade routes, it was a place that was constantly under attack. So lots of people had to move into here to keep themselves safe. And behind me, I'm guessing these are some of the 80 houses that they had inside the citadel walls. We read a really interesting story about the well behind me. So apparently, for the first 400 years of the citadel, they didn't have a well or a water source. And then in the end, they had 2 Turkish prisoners here, and they said in return for them digging a well, they would set them free. What happened was the Turkish prisoners were digging for 17 years, and as they were going, they were writing verses from the Quran on the inside of the well. And apparently if you go down there you can still see them. But nobody knows that if they got released after those 17 years and completing the well. Some people apparently say that they did get released, and others said that they just got killed. What I didn't realise before we got here was that it was so complete on the inside. It's really cool because it means you can really imagine what it was like living here and what people's town was like. I think because it was only eventually abandoned quite late in 1850 and people were still living here up to that point, I wonder if that's why it's still got so much left. It's really cool, and the views from here are amazing. I can understand why you wouldn't want to leave. We saw that.
You okay?
You're so distracting, do you know that?